My reading month was terrible. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Faith, and thank you so much for watching. This is my June reading wrap up. The year is halfway over. That is crazy. And unfortunately, my June reading month was terrible. Easily the worst reading month I've had all year so far. If you've watched my videos before, you probably know that I'm trying to get my physical TBR down a lot. I think when I did my official count of it back in April, it was at 66, and I ended May with 63 because remember, even though I got 10 off my physical TBR in May, I did get 7 new books that added to that. So we ended May and started June with 63 books on my TBR, and I'm not going to tell you right now what I ended June with. I'm going to update you as we go. So let's just get into it. The first book I read actually wasn't on my physical TBR. I found an indie author on Instagram and her book sounded good, so I decided to read it, and it was on Kindle, so I just read it there. And that was Worth the Risk by Clara Mott. I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars. Honestly, it was really cute and I did really like the characters. It was just the writing that lacked a bit for me. The main thing that I didn't really like about the writing was that sometimes when jumping from scene to scene, it didn't really make sense how we got from one to the other. And at times it was a bit too descriptive. For example, it would be like, I woke up and then I untucked myself from bed and then I got out of bed and then I walked into my bathroom and then I grabbed my toothbrush and toothpaste and brushed my teeth and then I rinsed off the toothbrush and I did all this. I don't like books that walk you through every single step of the person's day because to me that really shouldn't be the focus if it doesn't play an actual role in the story. I think she could have delved deeper into the characters, but again, other than that, I did like the book. It's also a super quick read, so if you're falling behind on your reading goal or something, I think that would be an easy one to toss in there. If you're looking for a literary masterpiece, I probably wouldn't recommend it, but if you're just looking for something cute and fun, I would recommend to read it. Like I said, I didn't have the physical copy of that book, so after finishing that, my TBR was still at 63. And this is where things took a downhill turn. This book arrived at my house on June 2nd. TBR 64. I have not struggled to read a book this much in forever. Honestly, I would have DNF'd if I didn't love Boys of Tommen so much. I started reading this book on June 3rd. Skip to halfway through June, I'm still reading this book. And at that point, I don't even think I had hit 100 pages yet. And it's a 730 page book. So at that rate, I would have been lucky to finish this book at all. And if I did finish this, my TBR would only go down to 63, which is where we started at, which is not where I wanted to be. So while reading this book, I had to listen to some of my other books on audiobook just so I could get other things off of my TBR. So even though this was the second book I started in June, I finished other books first. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about those before I give you the rest of my thoughts on this book. I'm going to explain myself real quick in case you have not seen the other videos where I talked about this. My rule is, if I bought the book, I have to at least try to read it because if I don't, that's just a waste of money. A few years ago, when I got back into reading, I had a phase. That being said, Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. I DNF'd about 50 pages in, I think. I did not like the characters, which is a common thing I find amongst Colleen Hoover books. Now, when I got back into reading, I genuinely did like some of her books, which is why I had these books in the first place. Not including these books, I'd say the last 4 or 5 books of hers that I read, I could not stand the characters. So while you may be saying, Faith, 50 pages isn't enough to fully decide whether you like the characters or not, from those last 4 or 5 books, I didn't really like the characters at the beginning, and I still didn't like them at the end. And quite frankly, I have too many books on my TBR to just waste my time over a book that I'm not enjoying 50 pages into it. And that from, again, those last 4 or 5 books, I most likely will not enjoy even if I do finish it. Did not like the characters, DNF'd, would not recommend, TBR back down to 63. And then we have Reminders of Him. Again, DNF'd. I think I got a little bit farther into this one, around 70 pages, I think. But again, I could not stand the main character. There's literally a point where she goes to a bar and is like, I need to remain mysterious so that they don't know I've been to prison. That's like a real thought she had. It's just like trying way too hard. So again, DNF, TBR down to 62. And then we have Never Never. The entire thing revolves around the memory loss trope. It starts with the FMC, like coming to consciousness in class with no memory of anything, but she's able to gain her bearings very quickly. Like she doesn't really seem confused, very quickly centers herself. I'm in math class. This is what I'm doing. Teacher calls on me. I need to answer her question. AKA just very unrealistic. And then I forget how it happens, but she stumbles upon the MMC and I guess they realize, oh, they both don't have their memories. The way they piece things together with zero effort honestly just seemed like lazy writing to me. But my breaking point with this book was when this guy walked past them on the street and was like, hey dude, your girl's cheating on you with me. And then they both get in the car and then she's like, wow, you must have pissed me off real bad for me to cheat on you with him. No! One thing I absolutely cannot stand, because I will not excuse it in real life, is when the FMC or the MMC cheats on each other. And again, that's when I DNF'd, so I don't know if it comes out, oh, that didn't actually happen. I don't really care. And even if it ends up that's not what happened, I'm not gonna pick up this book again because, again, the rest of it was also bad in my opinion. But honestly, if I knew that that happened going into this book, I wouldn't have even picked it up because that is just one thing I refuse to read because to me, there is zero excuse for cheating. So yeah, DNF TBR down to 61. So while I was listening to those, even though I DNF'd all 3 of them within a day and a half, I was still reading this book. I didn't finish this book until June 26th or 27th. It took almost the entire month for me to read this book. Mind you, I was reading every single day. And for the sake of keeping the timeline correct on my TBR throughout the month, Bestie Ellie got me A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair a couple days before I finished releasing 10, so TBR back up to 62. But back to releasing 10. I'm not going to go into much detail on why I didn't like this book because I've seen people get insane hate for saying they didn't like it for very valid reasons, so I'm gonna keep it pretty vague. This is a spoiler warning. Skip to this timestamp to avoid the spoilers for releasing 10. First, the book was way too detailed about what happened to Lizzie. I think she did a pretty good job at representing Gibbs's trauma in Taping 7 without going into insane detail, and I think she should have kept that up in this. Yeah, there are things that happened in this book that probably would have been hard to do it in less detail, but that doesn't change the fact that there are things in this book that just should not be written about in that much detail. That honestly is my biggest issue with this book. It starts when Lizzie is 3. They didn't turn 10 till around page 200. Didn't even turn 13 until around page 450. I just did not like that. And I've seen some people say this as well. I don't think she wrote the young characters that well. I understand the characters were smart, but that doesn't change the fact that when Lizzie was like 5 and 6, I think it was, she was acting way older than she actually was. Those are like the 2 big reasons that I didn't really like this book. And the last one that I'm about to give you is the most detailed that I'm gonna go about my reason for not liking this book. I have seen hundreds of videos about this book and hundreds of comments, and I've only seen one person talk about it. The main plot line of part 17 is Lizzie trying to coerce Hugh into having sex with her. If they did end up having sex, that would have been rape. Coercion is not consent. The only reason I'm touching on this is because I've seen a lot of teenagers talk about this book, and it is very important that you guys know coercion is not consent. And I know someone's watching this right now saying, well, she's hypersexual. That is not an excuse. It still would have been rape. I know I just said that was the last thing, but I actually do have one more. Like I just said with the last book, I cannot stand when there's cheating between the main couple. Lizzie cheating on Hugh? Absolutely not. And I can hear people defending she was having a manic episode. Guys, that is not an excuse to do anything and having no consequences to that. Your actions still have consequences. You still need to apologize for your behavior. Again, because of the amount of hate that I see people get for not liking this book, I'm not really going to go into much more detail. You can defend Lizzie or releasing 10 in the comments, that's fine, but keep it civil. You do not have to agree with my opinions on this book, but you cannot bully me or others for not liking it. I'm not going to tolerate that on my page. So if your comment is mean or hateful in any way, it will be deleted and you will just be blocked. 2.5 stars. Would not recommend to anyone who's not a Boys of Tommen fan. If you are a Boys of Tommen fan, I would only read it if you want to read every book in the series, and I would go in with extreme caution. TBR back down to 61. Now I'm gonna need everyone to say, thank you, Bestie Ellie. You are my savior, because she saved my reading month with this book. A Touch of Darkness is a Hades and Persephone retelling in modern day. I see this book on the bookshelf like every single time I go to a bookstore, and honestly, I was never really planning on buying it for myself. So again, thank you, Bestie Ellie, because I loved this book. Unpopular opinion, I actually like modern day fantasy mythology type stuff. It's one of the things that I absolutely loved about Percy Jackson. Honestly, I think the reason I was never going to pick this up for myself is just because I didn't understand what it was about. I thought this was like a dark romance fantasy book, and I definitely would say romance wise it is on the darker side, but I thought it was leaning towards like Haunting Adeline, but thankfully it did not. This book does have smut. That being said, Bestie Ellie does not read smut, and she liked this book. Did she know there was smut going in? No. But she still loved it. The only real issue I had with this book was just how back and forth Persephone was with her feelings for Hades. I remember after they had gotten together, she was still like, no, I hate him. Girl, then why are you with him? This ended up being a 4 out of 5 star and was the best book I read this month, and I definitely would recommend it. TBR down to 60. I finished that book on July 30th at like 5:30 p.m. So I was like, dang, I do not have time to read another book on my physical TBR, which sucks. I really wanted to get below 60 this month, but then I was like, wait, I have another book that if I listen to on audiobook at 2 times speed, I'll be able to finish it. So I started Too Late by Colleen Hoover. Now listen, this book literally opens with her boyfriend raping her. Colleen. WTF. and because I will not let anybody defend rape in my comments. And I know some people struggle with what is rape and what is not. On page 1, she literally says, Asa, get off me, to which he says, I'm almost done, babe, and continues. Mid-sex, if somebody says no, that's it. No, you stop what you're doing. If you continue, that is rape. Little lesson for you that you all should know, just in case that happens to you. So I was like, oh, I don't have to listen to this all night because I'm not reading anymore. Because what the F, Colleen? So guess what? TBR 59. We did it. We did it. We got that TBR below 60. Yes, we did. Did I think it was possible? No. If you asked me mid-June, will I get it below 60? I would have said no. I would have laughed in your face. TBR 59. Did I buy 3 books July 1st? Yes, I did. So it was a short little victory. It is back up to 62. I still ended June with 59, and I'm gonna end July with less than 60 as well. But my defense, A Touch of Darkness is a 7-book series. Me and Bestie Elliot are reading this at the same time, which literally never happens. Also, YOLO. And reading is supposed to be fun. If I get to read a book with Bestie Ellie, that's even more fun. So why would I not do it? So don't come at me for breaking my ban. Come for Bestie Ellie because she is the one who got me this in the first place. Just kidding, don't come for her or I'll come for you. Please. Let July be better. And you know what? It will be, because I'm reading the rest of this series with Bestie Ellie. I hope you all had a better reading month than I did. And if you had a lousy reading month like me, I hope July is better for you. That is all that I have for you guys today. I hope you're having a fantastic summer, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Love you guys. Bye.